Yeah. There we are. Another Tuesday. Welcome back to another freshly squeezed episode of Peak Ace on Air. I need to turn off my phone. That would be good, actually. Yeah. So we made it. We made it back. Hope you guys all had a good day off yesterday. I think most of us in Europe had, actually. So feels a bit like Monday, even though it's Tuesday, and it's also raining. So I'm like, maybe it's really Monday. Anyhow, glad you could all made the time and join us for another very content centric episode, so to say. We had, I can't recall, a couple of weeks ago actually, we had a really thorough talk around content marketing,
ToFu.
but more on the top of the funnel. I was going to say ToFu, yeah. I think is the what is the acronym in English? Something like this. So we kind of try to continue this this thing because there was actually quite a bit of good feedback on that. And also, before we kind of get into that and do some housekeeping, there's a huge write-up which actually made it in time. To be fair, we wanted to do it last week, but we didn't manage. But here we are. So this is the link of this massive piece that kind of is based on Carina's talk, actually. So good to have you back, and kind of quite excited for. What is it now? MoFu, Mid-of-the-Funnel, right? So I'm gonna see what that is all about. Before we get into it, Dominic, how was your long weekend?
It was quite good. I spent some time.
Quite good.
Yeah.
What is quite good?
So I was not productive at all, so to say. But I enjoyed watching a lot of super interesting movies. Actually,
what did you watch? Entertain us.
So, as you maybe know, I'm too lazy to read books at the moment. But
yeah, I figured.
but I'm still super interested in getting to know more about like people and their biographies. So I watched the movie about Marie Curie, about Julian Assange, of course, like the WikiLeaks movie was super interesting. Yeah. Then about Elon Musk, a movie plus a documentary, and what else? There were two more actually. Plus, I actually finally made to finish the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like the Marvel.
Right. The Marvel one,
show, was super good. So I was extremely happy that weekend.
It sounds like a good weekend off. I was gonna say, yeah.
Exactly.
Well spent in front of the TV. So was it raining in Berlin, or was it just like you were too lazy to go outside?
The weather was quite sunny, but
right.
Also, everything was super crowded. So I drive through the city with a car, and then I just recognized that everybody just run outside and spend their time there.
I was gonna say first weekend outside for a lot of people after the kind of lockdown situation. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. But then I felt like, do I want to be part of that at the moment? For me, maybe it feels not safe already. So I wanted to avoid to meet any kind of people because it was super crowded, everything. So I decided to just stay at home and spend my time wisely.
Fair enough. Carina, how about you? How was your weekend?
Well, I didn't watch so many movies, I have to say.
Fair enough.
I'd like to have a recommendation on the Elon Musk documentary, though, Tommy. Yes, it's been like really busy times for crypto fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But, that's also what I did the weekend. But apart from that, I had so many plans, but the weather was very tropical. So every time I wanted to go for a bike ride, it started raining. And so in the end, I was basically at home.
Fair enough. Yeah, so a lazy weekend. That sounds like a good plan. Very nice.
How about you, Bastian? Any new house projects?
Yeah. Well, I'm starting out. I had to kind of get my pool ready for summer season. So that was what I kind of spent my my half of my weekend at least for. Cleaning the pool, kind of getting all the pool boy skills established. So it's I'm still training, but getting there. I had to kind of finish some like leftover work from last year, basically, because hopefully in 2-3 weeks we shall see how cold it stays, but I'm positive on sunny weather. So yeah, that was my weekend, and I finally managed to start working on my SMX Advanced deck, because I realized that conference is already due on the 20th of June, and up until, let's say, end of last week, I just did not really have much of a plan of what to do. So I thought, well, maybe yeah, sometimes this is how it goes. Well, actually, quite a lot of times this is how it goes for me when I build new slide decks. Like all of a sudden you have this one idea, or like the kind of one topic / concept, and then so I managed to kind of build like the first, what was that, maybe 40-ish slides or so, and like so that were my evenings spent as well. So not too exciting, but we shall see. I mean, the topic is quite cool actually, so I'm really curious to see what people think, because I mean, SMX is always a bit challenging, and then also this is the advanced one, obviously, and it's relatively long sessions, which is cool, but it's even more prep work. So that kind of takes obviously quite a bit of time to build something brand new. Then but I'm positive now. So we shall see.
Do you already want to give like a very short teaser about the topic in general?
Not yet. I'm too unsure right now. It's kind of a very hands-on topic, and it's still like let's say experimental on the outcome of it, so to speak. But it's gonna be cool, because like I think it's a topic that hasn't been like talked about much at conferences in general, and like as always trying to kind of find something that people can actually really use. Even though the general description now at SMX says it's gonna be 5 SEO hacks or topics, and I'm not sure if that's gonna stay, but we shall see. We shall see. Maybe some more on that in the next one or two weeks.
Okay.
We will see. It's going to be good. Quite excited. I'm actually quite excited about the hubs as well. So we're going to hosting. I think we mentioned that some of the sessions from the Berlin office. Julia, who some of you have seen on the stream, is going to talk about some PPC stuff. We also have our very good friend Philipp Klöckner joining. I think he is doing the closing keynote, if I'm not totally wrong, on closing session on day 2. So he's also kind of presenting from the PK's office. So I think it's gonna be an interesting kind of different type of event with like this hybrid different hubs. A bit like wasn't it just like the ESC happening, like the Eurovision Song Contest thing, where it also has like this different so
I have no idea how they organized it, because I'm actually not interested in all.
No, me neither. I just saw that there were some accusations about like some things with the Italian team or whatever, but that's the only thing that I even saw. So anyhow, back to some serious topics. Otherwise, we'll just talk about the Eurovision Song Contest for the next 30 minutes, and I don't think that's much valuable, to be very honest. So again, if you want some of the latest notes and kind of recaps, just head over to pa.eg/notes. This is where we're going to have it. And then the just already mentioned Top of the Funnel Content Marketing piece has its own URL. I mean, we got to link it from the recap as well anyways, so you will find it, and I think it's going to be on socials in the next days as well. But either way, if you want to have a kind of sneak peek or a thorough read, both works obviously already in advance, then this is where you go, pa.eg/ToFu, and then you'll be redirected to the post. And based on that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Carina, who can maybe already share her screen. That would be fantastic. And then we get going and kind of continue this somewhat mini series, if you so will. I'm going to talk a bit about mid-funnel kind of strategies and tips and ideas and whatever else we have in store, right?
Yes. Do you see my screen?
No, not yet. It does not pop up yet. So maybe you just need to reshare it one more time. That would be cool.
Okay.
It's always the fun with... I can also maybe remove mine. Ah, yeah. Now it's popping up. Yep.
Perfect.
Perfect. There we go. 1 second. There we are. fantastic. So good to go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for passing me the word. I'm really excited to talk today again about funnel strategies in content marketing. And this time we will have a look at middle-of-funnel content marketing that builds up on our last podcast. And here we will have a look on how to win over customers when they are like between consideration and conversion. Today we will look at the following topics to have like an overview about what middle-of-funnel content marketing actually is. First of all, we will see what is it and how can it help your brand to grow. Then we will have a look at the content formats, also at the content formats for B2B and B2C audience. Then we will also look at mixed funnel marketing strategies, as nothing is black and white. Also here we have experiments that can be tried out to be more successful. And then last but not least, you will see how we can measure success in MoFu content marketing to actually also see results from our work. I'm just gonna start straight away with what is MoFu content marketing. Well, I would summarize it in a way that it's interest and consideration that we are dealing here with. We have a customer that already knows our brand, that already engaged with our brand, and now he wants to be convinced to actually make the purchase. And if we look at the marketing funnel, as mentioned before, we had the ToFu in our first episode, where we look at more generic content formats like informative content, data-driven content, interactive content, and audiovisual content. Of course, our KPI here is the pure traffic generation. So we're not knowing our audience yet, but we want our audience to recognize us. Whilst here in the MoFu stage, we're already a step further. So our client engaged with the brand, he knows the brand already, and now we will have to give a bit more in-depth information to convince the client. This can be like in form of lead gen content, promotional content, email sign-ups, in-depth audiovisual content. We will have a look at all of this in the next slides. So let's see like what are the key elements of MoFu content actually, what should it have? Well, as I said, the client already knows this basic, the specifications of our brand, what we want to sell, what our message is, and so on. So now he is like between different products and wants to have specific details on his buying decision. So our content has to be, in this sense, educational, it has to be persuasive, and it has to be, of course, targeted, because we want to tackle the specific needs of a specific customer. And in this sense, our content should have 5 key elements that should be all tackled to actually make this step from consideration to conversion. And it's like, well, educative. So your content should educate. It should be in-depth. So whilst in the ToFu stage, we're kind of like playing with question-answer game. We're providing information, but we are not targeting directly the purchase. So we give a lot of information around a certain topic. In the MoFu stage, the customer wants to have a concrete answer. So we should give it to him as well. In this sense, we solve and relieve as well, because the client is relieved. He knows what he gets. And in this stage, it's also really important to differentiate. So, well, also in the ToFu stage, of course, we have like a lot of competition. But once we move further and further and closer to the purchase decision, there are more competitive factors around us. So we, as like a brand, as a company, we have to be different. So in the MoFu stage, the unique selling point is especially important and should be also pointed out. Persuasive, of course, and also like our SEO content should be directed in this way. So we use this time buying keywords or keywords that are tackling directly the purchase or the product itself. And also it should be personalized. We want to make a connection with the client. He knows us, we know him, and now we want to give him what he wants and what he needs in this sense.
Carina,
yes.
Sorry, already interrupting. I just have a quick question, because you touched on the topic of personalized content marketing. And I mean, everything which is personalized is always super interesting, of course, and in many cases data-driven. So do you have any specific information about that, or any specific like experiences how to work on like more personalized content marketing initiatives, campaigns, or anything around that?
Yeah, so, well, to personalize the content, we need first a ToFu stage. So we need to allocate first a content and a certain target group. So, for instance, if I have like an article that I produce in my ToFu stage, I can already work with metrics to see who's reading this. So I can have a look on from which channels is the traffic coming, for instance, towards my article. And I can see like how are like the social signals in this regard. So also who's clicking through my content, who's sharing my content on social media. So in social media, for instance, if you use the Facebook Business Manager, you can see quite clearly who goes to which page and what is the target group there, like from which industry, which age range, and so on. So by identifying a target group in social media, I can already see who's reading my content. And well, then I can also see if like my content comes especially from search. So clients find the content directly in the internet, then it's probably because they follow a certain search intent. And with the search intent, they find my content. So then I see what is the opinion or the need of the client. So I just feel like personalized content can be created through like many ways of amplification through the ToFu content. And of course, like once you have an email sign up, it makes things much easier because then you have completely different metrics about it. But it doesn't mean that you can only personalize content once you have an email sign up or actual lead. You can already before shape the target group or like the image of what your client wants or what the client needs.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, so that's like the perfect like syndication between like the ToFu content or starting with a ToFu content and then moving along with MoFu content makes, especially at that point, extremely sense, right? So starting with ToFu content, getting to understand the user, trying to collect data, evaluating them, and then continue with personalized like content formats, initiatives, approaches, whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
We will have a look later at this as well. Where do I use ToFu? Where I use MoFu? So then it maybe gets a bit more logical.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I think a lot of people kind of confuse the different types and where to use what. So kind of looking forward to that one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so how to nurture leads in MoFu content marketing? Well, at the end of the day, we want to have data and we want to have leads with our MoFu content because, I mean, to get to know the client, to answer on his personal needs, we also need information from the client, of course. As I said before, you can work with metrics, but it will never give you a really concrete idea of with who you are dealing before you actually have the user data. So, well, obviously, like you get this data if you already respond beforehand on client needs, but then you can also give in form of lead generation the client the chance to follow up with your brand and to give you data. And well, obviously you have to always give the client something as well. Usually, yeah, we will see in different examples what you can give the client, but usually it's an exchange. So for instance, if you offer content to download, then you can set up a lead gen form where the client fills out his details. And a lot of times it's the name or the email address, which is already a lot. But phone number and job title and industry, of course, is even more important because then you don't have to look in a Facebook Business Manager from which industry your segment is coming from. You already have it written down, which is even better. This is very common in the B2B sector, though. Whilst B2C content, their lead gens are often very short without the job title. But in B2B audience, like white papers or such things, it's always good to also ask the industry. And yeah, I mean, promote new content opportunities is always good in this stage as well. So for instance, with email subscriptions, I mean, there's different ways to collect leads in this stage. You don't need to necessarily offer like a white paper download, for instance. Also, if you have a really appealing homepage with the right content, their chances are really good that your clients might do an email subscription because they want to follow up with you as a brand. And this would be also a good opportunity to actually get a lead first. And well, there's also, of course, a different thing between like a lead and a qualified
Carina,
lead.
Sorry, I just need to interrupt you about the previous slide. I just wanted to leave there a very quick disclaimer about GDPR. So please, whenever you start to collect any kind of data in terms of like lead gen or something downloadable and collect data for that, please know to have like the data security information over there, because it can cause a lot of issues, definitely. And it's super important to think about, please only ask your audience for relevant data in that case. So do not ask like for 50 different kind of data spots or anything about that. So keep it short and simple, and make sure to leave a data security button over there to get your audience.
And that said, we are not lawyers, so maybe you need to consult with them beforehand. All right, please. Moving on.
Yeah, that's actually true. You should also protect your data, or the data of the client in this sense, and yeah, also not asking too much information. As I said, it just really depends on what product you have as well. And I mean, if it is a really sophisticated white paper with a lot of detailed information, you can ask a bit more. If it is just like a template form somebody downloads, then probably the email address is enough in this sector. So you have to have a feeling of what will the audience be ready to give you for what you offer them, basically, with a data disclaimer, of course. Okay, well, next to the leads. So we have like different kind of leads, right? So I mean, a lead is not a lead, and we want to, in our sales funnel, also build up our quality of leads to a point that we actually have a sales qualified lead, so that we actually sell something. So how do I turn this data, what I'm having, then in actually a marketing qualified lead? So the middle part before I actually have a sales qualified lead. And this you can only do if you use a software that tracks the user behavior to see how is the lead or the client basically interacting with you from now on. And this you can find out with different metrics, like what kind of, there are also email sign up are very useful to see like what emails were opened, what links were clicked, what links were shared. You can also use here social signals for it, and of course also seeing how are the page views and the channels and so on. So here you can also see already, like, the more you know your audience by this stage, the more qualified your lead will be. And in this sense, you can also follow up then with your clients in the bottom of funnel, where your lead actually turns into a sales qualified lead. And so like, just to sum it up, what we just like talked about. So we want to provide the customer in-depth information. It should be tailored to the specific needs of the customer. It should be a personalized approach. We want to like nurture leads and then turn them into MQLs. And obviously regular monitoring is the key to succeed there. So before I jump to MoFu content formats, that sounded logic for you guys, or you have any question?
No.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good to go.
Okay. Then MoFu content formats. What do we have there? Well, we have a promotional content that would be like, for instance, product demos, product guides, checklists, tutorials, everything that promotes our brand and explains something about what the client is actually buying. Then we have educational content. That is, very common in the B2B audience. So we will just here in the next slide. Here we also promote our service, but it's more about like giving really good in-depth information and just like positioning and trust building and so on. There's also a different kind of forms that just like educate the client on like the specific level that he needs to actually be convinced of the purchase. Then we have audiovisual content here, webinar and podcast, but more common actually webinars here, because we also relate to the product itself more than in the ToFu stage. And then, downloadable content, for instance. So if you like go to our homepage and you interact with a tax company, for instance, and you want to download a template for your tax declaration, you can do it there. And you say, okay, this is like a nice brand, I read about it before, then you might do it and give their lead as well. So this is also a format of the MoFu stage. Let's have a look then at the specific audiences to see what is the right thing for your business. Well, B2B audience, now it has a lot of similarities to the ToFu stage, basically. I mean, we want to gain trust, we want to deliver qualitative content. The content has to be verified, has to be data-driven, it should be personalized, and it should be also influencing a concrete buying decision. The different theme between the ToFu and the MoFu content here is definitely, though, that the MoFu content is more promotional, more product-focused, and more in-depth. And let's have a look at it. For instance, a case study is a classic MoFu content. I would only probably go for a case study if I actually know the brand, because it's a lot to read. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a lot to read. What is interesting, especially for this target group, so I would put a lot of data in it. I would just like get testimonials from clients from the past. Everything should be, of course, verified, but you can also with getting a previous client talking about your service, you're also already a bit more promotional, because he actually promotes your service in a certain way while it's giving expert knowledge. So, and it's also important to be comparative there and compare, maybe not like naming the competition by the name, but showing the user what the advantage you as a brand have in comparison to other alternatives that could be around there. And well, then also an audiovisual content would be here, for instance, a classic webinar. Well, the webinar should be educational and unique, of course, but also product focused, because I watch this webinar since I want to have a solution presented that I can solve with this product. So, for instance, also if you get like an expert in your talk who tackles a certain problem, and then at the end of the webinar, you explain how you could do it with the product you offer it, that would be like the perfect fit for purchasing a client to actually sign up. And if not, you can also collect very good leads with a webinar, because people want to sign up for it, they want to see it live, they want to ask questions in the webinar, and for all of this, they have to sign up. So it's a great source of generating leads, and also qualified leads, because the people who watch a 40 minutes webinar are obviously interested and consider as well. Yeah, MoFu content for B2C audience then. Well, also there are a lot of similarities with the ToFu stage. It has to be unique, catchy, relevant, well, maybe data-driven, if you have relevant data to share. Not too heavy and lengthy, maybe even shorter than the content in the ToFu stage, if you want to answer a specific question of the user. And here, for instance, I have an example for a checklist or a tutorial. This would be like a promotional content. As we heard before, in the MoFu stage, you should go a bit more direct on your client with like promotion and product focus information, because he's already about to buy, right? But he wants to have like just a bit more of information. So I have here an example, for instance, if you're like an internet provider and you launch a guide on like, is your internet connection suitable for remote work? It would be like a good topic, because you're promoting your service, but you're also transferring knowledge, and you also compare to other competitors, you know, not directly, but you would say, okay, like 5G is better than 4G. And then at the end of this article, you could actually already direct to your product page. And then if the user goes after your article on the product page and clicks the CTI, actually, this is already amplification for the success of your article. So in this stage, it is really important that you answer the question of the user, and you also compare two different competitive offers there. And audiovisual content, I have here like just a demo video. Demo videos are always like working out really well. Obviously, in the MoFu stage better than the ToFu stage, because I mean, they are not that interested if you're actually not willing to buy the product. So you already have to have in mind, okay, I'm about to buy this software, for instance, for private use. Now I want to be convinced in a demo video. So and obviously, the more visually appealing it is, the more your B2C audience will like it. So better using putting effort in how to like create it. It should be easy, understandable, and it should be really short. If the user knows under a minute how to use your product, then probably you're on the safe side. And obviously, you can also share it much easier on social media platforms. Now let's have a look at examples. So I'm not talking only about theory the whole time. Here, for instance, I researched a white paper. Well, it's probably you've seen this a lot of times. It's like just a lead gen page from Deloitte. They launched a white paper on zero trust, on cybersecurity. Well, this is really relevant. Sorry. This is really relevant for, I think, everybody who deals with cybersecurity. Although there's like a little description as well on the landing page for people who just hesitate, is this the right information, a white paper or not? So there's also some information about it. I would recommend with every lead generation page actually to put this information in, because sometimes you're stumbling over pages where there's only one download button and just very few information, and there it's likely that somebody's not picking up on it if the client is not knowing your product really well. So better always making a short introduction about what it is, and then also offering a CTA button, of course. So this would be a classic white paper download page from Deloitte. And here a webinar from Wright, for instance. What is Wright doing here? I mean, it's not a video about how to use the Wright software, right? But it's a video on how to measure SEO's impact on B2B revenue. It is unique because there's, as far as I know, no webinar with this specific content. So the user is much more interested in it. And then you also have a sign-up form here. You can sign up for the webinar and ask questions in the webinar itself. It is a niche topic, so you can assume that you will find like-minded people there as well who will interact with you on your questions. And at the end of the day, Riot can help you to solve all these things, of course. But the main purpose of this webinar is to educate and to build trust and get a lead, of course, in this stage.
But it's not that blatantly. It's not that blatantly in your face, right? I think that's what you're saying. It's like it offers value first and foremost, and then I mean, of course, you're probably inclined to do it with a platform that provides all of those solutions, but you not necessarily have to, right? I think that's makes sense.
Exactly. I think in both, but with both audience, you have to go a bit more promotional on this thing. Mm-hmm. But I think in B2B audience, you're still a bit more subtle, of course, because the topic is so complex and there's so much information you want to know around something before you purchase that, it is better not to throw the product in the face of the customer, of course, but to already have a topic that is really related to the product. But in promotional, sorry,
I just wanted to say this is the perfect example for mid-of-funnel content, because otherwise in the top of funnel it would be even more generic, like I don't know how to do keyword research stuff, whatever, and like the bottom of funnel, it would be maybe even more based on the product, and in that case it's something in the middle, right? So it's already something about the user, so it's of course like SEOs or SEO managers, and know which kind of problems they probably face. So I think it's a perfect example to show something in between, let's say, to not
exactly
too commercial and not too generic.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and now we have a look at mixed funnel marketing strategies. So as I said before, sometimes we have mixed approaches. So, and they also work out well. But let's see what this could be. For instance, here we have ToFu KPIs is awareness, traffic, backlinks, and for the MoFu KPIs, we would have lead generation. And if you find like a mixed approach, you could eventually tackle both. So I will show like in some examples how you could do it. If you're like, you are trying to reach a big audience, for instance, or you are not so established in the market yet, and you want to try out different things. For instance, I have here an example of an interactive tool. An interactive tool is actually a ToFu thing, is for like motivating the user to engage with the brand. And once he's in the MoFu stage, he's actually already engaged. But this one here is, for instance, a personality test. And I think personality tests work really well for this actually as an example, because we have here, it's a personal development school. So they just launched the attachment style test. And I can stumble over this test anytime through search. and I would be a top of funnel user because I've probably never heard of the personal development school. And I go to the landing page, I know everything what I want to know. I do this test, and then I get a personalized result though. I mean, that's really easy with a personality test to do so, but in many kind of industries, you can actually offer personalized results with the right algorithm. And if I'm able to get a personalized result, I might also want to fill out a lead gen form, although I'm not familiar with this brand at all. So we have two approaches here. We have first the more generic, interactive ToFu approach, and then we have the personalized approach. And you can put this all together. And in this sense, you have the personal development school has new users without doing any branding and without anybody knowing what the brand is. Then once you sign up there, the personal development school could follow up with you via emails, maybe send you more interesting tests, and maybe then trigger you to inform yourself about the course offer they have. And so this is basically catching new clients on a MoFu level though. I recommend, I mean, it's not possible for all kind of industries, but if you have the chance to tackle your user in the first stage already with a personalized approach, then you can save time and get leads very quick, for instance. This is though more like an approach for me in the B2C stage, where I just want to have a client that wants to have a quick answer and he gets it and so on. For B2B audience, I'd see that this approach is really interesting. It's a link building landing page with a lead gen form in it, for instance. So here I can go also as a user not knowing anything about content marketing and still getting trapped with the content itself. Sorry, this is no, I'm not doing anything. I think it's my laptop playing wild. And so here is the ultimate guide to content marketing from Hootspot. It's conceived in this way that I can read it if I'm a content marketer, but maybe also if I'm just interested in the topic. So I could also go there as a ToFu client through search, then stumble over this landing page and get a lot of information. So this landing page here has shareable videos, where somebody tells you what content marketing is. We have here infographics, and I call it link building because you could also make an independent story out of all this content there and share it and build up links and so on. So this is a very ToFu focused landing page, but at the top, I also have a download button with a CTA form. So we have the same as before. Somebody from the ToFu stage could come on our page, but he gets so much information that he's swiping directly in the MoFu stage because he wants to know more. So these are two things basically brought together. And I think this works better for the B2B audience, for instance, because in B2B it's always better to give a bit more information than rather.
I was gonna say, right? That's it's a bit you're feeding a bit more upfront, and then just make it more convenient with the download to kind of, send it to the colleagues or whatever. But this is really I think this is probably the most common format in B2B right now, isn't it? I mean, I would say I see that literally everyone and their mother is kind of doing it. So I mean, I guess it seems to work quite well.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah, it's I think you see it a lot, but I think it is a difference between how in-depth the language is going with it, right? Because you see a lot of times really heavy content about what this white paper is about, but I still think as a mix between ToFu and MoFu, you would have to put videos, infographics, and so on in it.
Yeah. So you move a lot to the front. That's what you're saying, as to oppose kind of hold it back just for the download. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we have the magic word holistic landing pages again,
there
right?
we go. There we go. Jesus Christ. No, but I guess it's true. I mean, you're right. For kind of another type of audience, you would just have a teaser, and then or maybe a paragraph, right, or a page even, that originally comes from the PDF, but it's not the full thing. So I suppose that's the major difference there.
Definitely. I mean, if we look back to the cybersecurity landing page, for instance, we only have like plain text there. So if I don't know anything about cybersecurity, I will not stay on this page because it's gonna be like too overwhelming, you know. Whilst in this guide here, I mean, I have here a video with a girl tells me what content marketing is. So I actually can go there without knowing anything about it. And yeah,
that's probably also because of the audience, isn't it? I mean, the audience, that someone who searches for content marketing, no offense there, that's just probably a way lighter audience in a way than something that's like very tech heavy, very kind of specialist knowledge that kind of goes down to cybersecurity, right? I suppose those that are looking for that, somewhat either familiar with it or like look for some in-depth, I don't know, like latest numbers from the year or like threat assessment or whatever, right? So I think that's also a bit of a difference in terms of the audience that you kind of. Would that be a fair assumption, like that also like the tailoring of like a landing page itself? I mean, not only looking at the stages, but also like heavily depends on the audience itself.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I mean the broader your audience is, the broader your audience is in the ToFu stage, for instance, the more generic you can do your content, of course. Once you already know your audience, and you do a mid-funnel page, it's going to be way more specific. And also, as I said before, more focused on actually buying keywords that help the customer to purchase.
Makes sense. Cool.
Okay. Well, I just like maybe a short summary of how I measure this, because as I said, it's really important in content marketing and MoFu, but in whole content marketing actually, but especially in the mid-funnel stage, to measure my success. And here we have like, well, as an example, we can measure with leads, with consumption metrics, and with engagement metrics. And here we have like as leads, email signs up, for instance, asset downloads or webinar participants, and consumption metrics would be the bounce rate, the exit rate, or the CTR, of course, of our content. And engagement metrics would be social signals, as I explained before. And I have just here a short example. I think I already explained it before, but just to sum it up, if you, for instance, have like an advice article on like, I don't know, a product, choosing the right computer for home office, then you could measure it with like the consumption metrics first, see what is the bounce rate on it, how many people click through this, how long do they stay on the page. I could see if they go to like a best product page after reading this. And I could also see if they maybe sign up for a newsletter after it. So if I see that as in Google Analytics that this specific article has like a lot of like clicks, and then also I have a lot of email sign-ups in the same time range, then I can also measure the success of my persuasive article. So just like to finish it, maybe in a nutshell. So MoFu Content Marketing closes the gap between consideration, the mistake, and conversion, not awareness. It tackles the specific needs of the user. It's promotional, comparative, and you offer the client something in exchange for a lead, and what you especially offer him depends on what your client needs. So it's important to know your client before, of course, from the ToFu stage. So it does make sense to go through the whole funnel, whilst maybe experiencing, of course, with mixed strategies. And our goal here is to have marketing qualified leads out of this stage. And with B2B, we work educational, data-driven, and verified, whilst with B2C, more promotional, comparative, and explanatory. And we also always should do performance measuring, of course.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. Very good. Very good. No, fantastic.
Cool.
I think, similar to last time, I think there's like, there's a lot of, obviously a lot of info in there. So are we going to do like another write-up of this one or no?
Yes, definitely.
Putting you on the spot here. Okay, fantastic. I think it's really, I mean, it's really cool. Like, I think there's like, and the reason why I'm asking is because as you said, like there's so many different considerations, like depending on kind of which angle you're coming from. And also, I think one point that you mentioned to the far end, but I think it's super important, is like, to kind of experience the full thing, but maybe someone is like somewhat already in the, like has done some like initial testing on the upper level of the funnel and now wants to kind of move on and then maybe struggles. So I think it's like super cool, like to kind of build up on this kind of serious idea, so to speak. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the write up of that one, because yeah, no, it's quite extensive, even if you can deliver it in like 30 minutes and 33 slides. But I think there's a lot of what do you guys say, evergreen content and info in there. So yeah, I think this is very true for those specific stuff. Yeah, thank you very much, Carina. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Do we have, maybe I probably have time for one question, Domi, if you have one.
Yeah, actually, I have one question in my mind, because I'm not sure, Carina, I think you didn't mention that much about the topic of finding, or like the conceptualization of the mid-of-funnel content pieces, because you already mentioned that like mid-of-funnel content can target even more transactional keywords, for instance, because it's way more promotional than we see, or that we've seen on top-of-funnel content. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations in terms of finding the right topic in terms of mid-of-funnel content campaigns, ideas, I don't know, initiatives?
Well, also here it is like good if you like. I'm sorry, I had to connect my computer, because otherwise it's gonna be really black.
Otherwise you're gonna be gone. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, finding the right topic is also related of having the right idea of what your customer wants and what your customer is. So evaluating ToFu content helps you to get on the right track there. So also here, it's really good if you have like a solid Google Analytics tool and see where do people most click on my ToFu content, what are they most interested in, and by analyzing this, or like which keywords are especially interesting in this regard, what is like popular on my page, what people are looking for, and then also like always this old story about the search intent, of course, right? I mean, keyword is not search intent. So let's see first, what is the search intent of the people? What content of my ToFu stage do they like to read the most? And on this, you should build up your MoFu content.
Nice. Very cool. All right. So since we already, time is
close
flying
to 5
when you're having fun. Yeah, close to 5. So that said, I think we're gonna finish off for the week. Thanks so much for dialing in as always. We're gonna be sharing all the things, show notes and whatnot afterwards. Next week, we're going to be back, same time, same place, 4 p.m. German time. We're going to talk, as always, kind of about things that happened in May, in this case. And I think we're going to dedicate that episode because there was the Google I/O conference, actually, a couple of days ago. And there were a ton of things happening and a lot of things being announced. So we're going to do like a kind of special recap, if you so will, on May, dedicated to the announcements and some of the things that came out, let's put it that way, from Google I/O. So I'm kind of excited about that one. Anyhow, Carina, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You back.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Appreciate you taking the time. That was fantastic as always. And that's it. We are over and out.
Off.
Yeah.
See you next
week.
See
you next week. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.